Why, hello there, and welcome to another live stream from Coolcraft. And I realized just now as the stream was getting started that I need to do headphone stuff. So please hold while I first of all turn this thing off, and then I do the stuff for my headphones. So boop, press that over to here. Perfect, perfect. Oh, don't start recording. Nope, don't do that. Alright, yeah, I'll show my face. Hello, while I'm at it. Once again, it is another week, and my green screen, right here, right? Okay, I'll fix that in a moment. First, I gotta put on headphones so that I don't cause feedback or whatever. Playing a video game here, it's kind of important. Alright, they're connected. Now I gotta do the thing with the audio redirections, turn the speakers off. My hair looks terrible, I know that. Alright, minimize that. And there's that. While I'm here, I might as well fix the green screen so it's not looking so washed out. That made it worse. That actually, how did that make it worse? Well, that fixed it. Yay. Anyhow, yes. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Where's Minecraft? There it is. Alright. Now, we are back, once again here on Coolcraft. Come on, this stupid section to the green screen here. Let's move the light closer. What is it that this thing wants? It's also slightly extra here. Let me try moving the light a little bit. Now the other side of the green screen is... Oh, come on. Pull this forwards a little bit. Is that better? No? Yeah. Stupid green screen. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't cause any more issues there. That looks good. It's going to continue causing issues. I'm just going to move on at this point. Yes, today we are back once again, continuing where I left off last week in the crafting of redstone components, because I'm idea bankrupt of what else to do on the server for streaming at the moment, and I kind of do need to do that anyway. So, yeah, let's get into it. I also did do some preparation in between live streams, I guess. Getting ready for the quartz for like the daylight sensors stuff. The daylight sensors will be the last one we do because that takes a ton of quartz, and I don't want to start by spending all the quartz I have on that when I still got comparators to do. Anyhow, let's see. We got note blocks, composters, as much honey as we were gonna get, slime, the droppers where we left off. Now, while I did actually preemptively acquire some cobblestone to my base, yeah, nowhere's near enough for droppers or dispensers. Is there anything else that'll actually need the cobblestone? Levers. That's what it's for then. So yeah, I guess first things first. We make dispensers out of droppers. So we'll basically just need to get 2 shulk boxes of redstone dust to start out with. So let's end up doing that. Oh, also, now that I realize it's time to start thinking of things I can talk about the stream, I realized that I had something that I was thinking, oh, I'll rant about that on the stream. That'll kill a lot of time. And now I'm forgetting exactly what it is that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, alright, so... Yep, I do not remember what it is that I was thinking I should talk about today. That's great. Very, very useful. Is there chicken inside the building here? Hang on. I'm hearing a chicken. That is not a way through the wall. This will be a way into the wall. Okay. They're outside in the parking lot. Wait, because I was like, I could have sworn there was no animals inside of my storage system building when I built it. Slash for a while after until I built the interior here. There wasn't, to be click there. There. Oops, oh, freaking! Oh yeah, there's a wandering trader on the roof. Anyhow, off to cobblestone. Oh yeah, that's right. I should mention this. Oh yeah, once again drinking this stuff on stream. Woo! Spending those dining points on campus while I have the chance to do so. Yeah, spent well over $100. The stuff they're selling very overpriced. But hey, while I got the money, might as well spend it. And yeah, this would happen to be one of the things I bought during the week. Alright, back to Tyler's base where he has done exactly nothing since the last... What is this? Does he realize we're supposed to be doing shops in downtown this season? Because... shops should be in... or should be downtown. Alright, there we go. That ought to tell him. Anyhow, let's see what's going on here. Because literally, no one is going to come here and buy your stuff. I mean, okay, two problems. One, Tyler, no one's going to come here buy your stuff, period. That's first of all. Because, like, who the heck is building with end stuff? Second of all, no one's going to come here and buy it because no one's going to think to come here and buy it. We're not doing the distributed shops things this season. We're doing it in downtown area. Anyhow, while I'm here scolding you, I will now steal all your cobblestone because you can generate it, to be fair. I do need to have some inventory space, however, for the actual redstone dust. That is actually kind of important for droppers. But yeah, this stuff uses a ton. Did Tyler log on within the last week? I didn't think he did. But maybe he actually did log on because I don't think that was there last week. And yeah, I don't recall him actually logging on in this week. Hold on, I'm checking Discord now. I actually have no clue if he did or did not log on. I thought he didn't though. I don't know when he would have logged on. Well, maybe there was... Wait, when would I have been... Okay, no, wait. There is one time when I could think he may have logged on. Oh, and I have time to talk about... No, wait. I talked about that on Sunday. Never mind. I don't have crap to talk about today. And yeah, scrolling up, trying to find any mention of Tyler being online. When was the last time he was recorded as being on the server here? Well, 4 days ago now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything from him being online in between this and the last stream, so I don't know. That must have just been there last time. And I didn't notice. Huh. Yeah, okay, I think I'm over a week back now. Yeah, so that must have just been there last week, and I didn't notice. So that's fun. Powers of observation, people. Powers of observation. Whew. Let's see. What is it that I'm thinking here today? Oh yeah. Was that what I was maybe thinking about ranting about on stream? Anyhow, I guess I'll just talk about this anyways. It's something to talk about whether or not this was my intended rant subject that I had been thinking about. So, as we all know, Trump's first criminal trial has started swinging through the motions this past week. And, yeah. What a week it has been. First of all, they've already somehow picked the entire jury and all alternate jurors, which I did not think was going to be possible with this guy within a whole week. But more importantly, there was some of the people they picked early on had to drop off because they were being intimidated. Because despite not having their names released, basically everything else about them was released. What did they look like? Where did they work? Where did they live? You know, not the specific addresses, but you know, the company name, the general region of New York City they lived in. It's like, why the hell did we as the general public know any of this information? You know, as I was hearing this stuff, I was thinking like, wait, why the hell do we know any of this? What is going on? And yet, I still don't know how we found any of this information out, but clearly it was a mistake to have all that information out there for anyone to look at and just start trolling over the internet for. I would have thought that the court would have been a little bit smarter than this, but I don't know. Apparently not. Oh yeah, okay. Let's see, what else can I talk about tonight? Well, they've got some updates from Intel actually on my issue of computer crashing sometimes due to their GPU. Yeah, so they contacted me on Monday. I don't know, at some point at the beginning of the week. They contacted me. They was like, hi, yeah, could you please provide us with insert more information here? And so I did that. You know, this information is stuff, basic troubleshooting stuff that they could think of like, oh, we haven't asked them to do that yet. Let's try to do that. Like, update the BIOS. What the fuck is that going to do when your graphics card's crashing? Even if updating the BIOS would somehow fix it, that shouldn't matter when your product is literally crashing and freezing. And if, mind you, hadn't done that before I updated the BIOS, or the BIOS was just fine until it started doing this, to be clear. You're like, oh, you know, make sure it's at all the default settings. Again, what the fuck is that going to do? But, or how the fuck is that going to help? And then what? Then they were like, oh yeah, make sure it's, you know, doing stuff or whatever. Make sure your second GPU, because I do have 2 GPUs in my system, make sure your second GPU is like disabled or whatever to make sure it is actually our product that is failing. And to be fair, that one I do understand. It could have been an interaction issue between the Intel and NVIDIA GPU that I have, which to be fair, that should still not be happening, but at least if it's like that, they have the ability to say, well, okay, that's NVIDIA's fault, not our fault, and NVIDIA would say, oh, that's Intel's fault. What real question is, why am I using both at the same time? I get little benefit from it, but hey, the original reason was for compatibility stuff, and in case stuff didn't work, and now it's just because I can't be well, there's now it's mostly because I can't be bothered to remove it, but also because my second monitor here is connected via VGA, which is being converted from DVI on the NVIDIA card because it's that old. And I don't want to buy a dongle for DisplayPort to HDMI, so I can actually use just the DisplayPort outs on the Intel GPU, because I think it only has one HDMI. I'm not going to go check that right now. That would be a pain in the ass to do anyway. So yeah, I did all that stuff. And what do you know? I was entirely correct. Their GPU is still the problem. I also went back into Railroads Online, because the most important place where I'm experiencing this issue is Railroads Online. That's where it seems to crop up the fastest. I have experienced this in other games, like GTA 5 and Planet Coaster, where it doesn't appear immediately. It takes a while for it to appear, but it does eventually appear. Railroads Online seems to be the most instant with it appearing. Because, I mean, setting the settings in Railroads Online to medium seems to generally fix the issue, but if you just set everything to epic and try to load the save, it's just like, bam, your computer's crashed. Just like, what? Especially because for Planet Coaster, at very least, I was playing the game for hours. I literally left it on and went to class and come back, it was fine. But then when I was doing something, the whole system crashed. And then GTA, I think I'd actually been playing it since the issue started, but I just experienced it once in GTA. When I wasn't doing anything too particularly intense, I was just, driving through the city or whatever. So... hopefully they're fixing it, though. Because, yeah, after that, they, after I sent in my information to them, they were like, we will contact you again if we need any other information. Or by, like, a week or whatever, to inform you if there's any updates to your case or whatever. I need 3 shulker boxes of stick, 3 shulker boxes of string. That's 6 boxes in total. Math. We will go to the witch farm for the sticks. That should have them, and then the complete opposite direction to the mob farm for string, because I think that's actually the only place I have that generates string. Whoop, there we go. My God. My brother's girlfriend's dogs, why are they around my portal in particular? I just have to, get rid of them. So they don't, annoy me around the portal anymore. Alright, if I could stay on this path. Come on, let's go. There we go. Now we're off. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, let's see. Oh yes. I guess actually I should also give an update on the future stream schedule here. Next week Friday will probably be the last stream from Coolcraft for a little while, unless I actually have something interesting to do. So the last regularly scheduled live stream. Ooh. Oof. That's going into finals week, and at that point, I will be gone by the same time the following week, and also stupid busy then. Gotta figure out getting a summer job and all that sort of stuff, because gotta get that money. One of these has all the droppers in it. Stick, 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 stick. Yeah, I found it eventually. Oh yeah, so Minecraft 1.20.5, which is effectively a major update, comes out in this next week. We had release candidate 3 today, I believe. Are they already at release candidate 3? Anyhow, so we had release candidate 3 today, which means that we're getting really close to the actual release, which I'm expecting to happen Monday, Tuesday next week. In which case it'll be time to start updating my mods. Now obviously I do want to update Coolcraft to that, but there's a couple things that I think I need to do. Well, that need to happen for them. First of all the mods we use have to produce updates. Some of them aren't an issue, some of them are going to be very problematic, I can think. Let's see. I mean, my mods, I hopefully will be able to do that pretty easily. Let's see, what else is going to happen next? Then, actually, something that I'm not used to having to happen is... Oh, we have to keep going. We're gonna have to wait for data packs to update. I'm assuming Vanilla Tweaks has already been hard at work on updating all their data packs to work in 1.20.5. But there are major data pack changes happening. We've jumped from what? Version 24 to 42 now? I think? Or just 40? I don't know. It's way too many versions. I think this version the server's currently on is data pack version 18 for 1.20.2, so that's going up over doubling the version in just one minor update cycle, which is unsustainable. Hopefully going forwards in 1.21, they chill with the data pack changes a little bit. I wonder what was behind this inspiration for making major changes to the command system. That's gunpowder? There's string. Let's see. Of course, you know, Java 21 is going to be a fun thing to deal with in the next major and the next update. Alright, got all the resources now to craft all the dispensers. I have no idea what I am, no idea what I'm going to talk about next. Let's see. I guess I could start talking about stuff that I'm doing for my game. So my game, it's, well, if you watch the Sunday stream, you know, it's coming, it's coming. I've got stuff I need to really work on for that. The entity situation, I think, is very close to being properly fully implemented, and then I can actually get to designing and properly implementing. I'm just gonna remove these guys from the portal because they're causing issues. Then if they're not in the portal, they're easier to remove. Yeah. Entity situation is doing well. I'll actually have to implement some of the actual entities that you're going to have to deal with in the newer levels. Of course, the biggest part of this stuff is going to be, well, actually adding new levels. Ideally, these new levels, I'd like to have a new soundtrack for that, but good luck with that ever happening with how responsive Tyler has been recently. Even how responsive he is when I do want him to make music. Very, very unresponsive. I have a whole thing that I want to do, like, after the tutorial that involves music, and I asked Tyler to do that, like, 6 months ago. Actually, no, well, actually, well over that. When we were redoing the general game music, so that's like a year ago at this point. Over the summer, really. Anyhow, I asked him, I also wanted to do this, and because of how long it was taking the update to come out, I was like, okay, we'll just do the normal music, we'll push that. And then for 8.081, I was like, okay, now we're going to do the music. Nope. Okay, now we're going to push that thing to 0.82. No, okay, at this point, it's just going to happen when it's happening. Which is probably going to be never at this rate. That or I'll figure out making music myself. But yeah, fat chance that's ever going to happen. Because I absolutely suck at doing anything music creation-wise. I tried, and realized I should just not try, because I suck at it. Just stick to the programming, and I won't have an issue. So we have 7 items. 3 of each item. Or 3 items from each shulker, even. Should give us the correct ratio of ingredients to make 3 things. Bum bum bum. We use this one, that way I don't get confused. Or that one to store them, at least. Okay, maybe this is the thinking about the stuff. Maybe this is, what the hell was that? Oh, someone's car door. Okay. I was like, what the hell is this sound that I'm hearing outside? Okay, so, this other thing that I think that might have been the topic I was thinking about, ranting about. So I've recently, for some reason, decided to jump back into playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, because I got it a while ago, played it a bit, then stopped playing it for some reason, and then haven't wanted to pick it up much since, because I know I was like, oh, I'm gonna get sucked back into it, and then I have to deal with all the things in it, and blah, 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 blah. But I did end up getting back into it eventually, as it turns out. And so I'm playing it, a bunch recently, and getting stuff done. And so yesterday, I finally went to go get the Master Sword, because that's a thing you have to do. And it just so happened that I had the exact, I think, I don't actually know if this is just the general behavior, but I had the perfect amount of health to actually be able to acquire, because Breath of the Wild, you have to have a specific amount of health in order to actually claim the Master Sword. I believe in Tears of the Kingdom you have to have a specific amount of stamina, but when I went to do it, I had exactly the correct amount of health to actually successfully do it. That, or it always looks like your health goes down to 0 even if you have more health than I did. Anyhow, so it was like, wow, finally got the ultimate weapon, the unbreakable thing. And it's like, okay, so this thing is supposedly the almighty sword that can kill Ganon or whatever. How much damage does it do? It's like, oh, it's going to do like 100 damage. It's going to be like the ultimate weapon. 30 damage. It does 30 damage. Which is more than my active sword at the time. Or which is less than my active sword, tool, weapon, whatever at the time. Which, kind of an insult if you ask me. I have stuff that does 60 damage. But oh, this thing, which is the sword that seals the darkness, the ultimate weapon. Hello, I am doing a bunch of redstone component crafting right now. That's mostly it. Gotta stock the storage room for any of the future redstone projects that I'm definitely gonna ever take on in the rest of the season. I don't know, I might. Yeah, but yeah, that's what's going on right now. Yeah. Whew, almost done with dispensers. That is really good feeling, actually, that we're almost ready to move on from here. Also, I'm not entirely sure about this, but is the whole nerf to raid farms coming in 1.20.5 or 1.21? Because that makes a big difference on me updating the server when 1.20.5 comes out. Because I really do think, well, because realistically, I need to actually do some stuff with the raid farm before we're done with it. Like, I need to actually find some allays somewhere in the world, which will involve inflating the size of the world. But I'll need to find a bunch of allays in the world. And, or find one or whatever, so that I can start filtering out totems from the output stream, so that I don't have to worry about losing my supply of those for the rest of the season. Because I'm fine on emerald, redstone, whatever, that's all fine. It's specifically the totems that I'm more concerned about, because as you may know, they've changed how Bad Omen is going to work in 1.20 or the next major version, or in snapshots they've changed how Bad Omen works, where instead of you just getting Bad Omen when you kill a raid captain, and when you go into the area village it spawns a raid, instead the raid captain now drops a potion of Bad Omen, which you can drink whenever, which is actually really nice. That means I can finally just kill the pillager raids that show up without actually fear of causing a raid to spawn in around my base. But that also then means you have to drink that potion in order to get Bad Omen. Then, when you enter a village with Bad Omen, it's then replaced with a different potion effect called Raid Omen. And Raid Omen is, I think you get it for 30 seconds. And once that potion effect runs out, if you're still within the village, it then spawns Raid. So it gives you time to opt out, which in the course of normal gameplay is actually, I think, a good thing. Because of, yes, people have definitely had bad encounters with the way that Bad Omen currently works in the game. But, excuse me. But that really does kill raid farms. I'm sure new designs for raid farms will come out that will be more powerful, maybe less powerful. We'll see what's actually going to happen. But anyhow, back to this here. We got droppers, we got dispensers. It's time for hoppers. This one is going to be comparatively easy, as we do have a lot of resources for absolutely everything involved here. So I guess we go to the cherry farm. We go to the cherry farm here. This should have what we need to get going here. Just close the doors behind us. Don't want anything getting in. There's already chicken inside. That's bad enough. Dinosaurs are pretty scary. Alright. We got it. Oh, that was directional sound. I was like, that shulker box sounded really quiet and far away, but I had the one ear cut off of my ear at the time. It's like, that makes sense. Alright. Chesty chest. This is going to be real quick to make all the chests. The less quick part is going to be getting all the iron into the inventory into the correct proportions. I mean, yeah, we'll also actually have to come back here to acquire just generally okay. To just generally fill us up on chests, but that'll be pretty quick as well as this. Stocking the remainder of the storage system might actually be really quick here, actually. In which case, we can go start looking for allays in the wild. There are two places, I believe, that they spawn naturally. That would be woodland mansions, which, good luck finding one of those to us. Yeah, we're not doing that. The other one is obviously pillager outposts. But it's not guaranteed, so I need to fly around the world, generating a ton of chunks, looking at pillager outposts, being like, do you have allays? No. Fuck. Do you have allays? Okay. I think we should go to the iron farm for this. This is going to take a lot more iron than I probably have lying around. There's somehow not a crafting table in there, though. So we'll make a crafting table before we go there. Alright. Bum. Oh yeah. It's also something we gotta build in this area out back of the village there. That's been conspicuously left empty. Maybe I'll do that at some point. I really gotta add that to my to-do list. I forgot I put that bell in. I don't think Jody Cole's noticed. And that is to do with the episode that is going to be releasing this week on Sunday. If I finish it, which I should. There should be no finishing issues of any kind. Everything's going completely well. I just don't know what I'm doing for any remainder of the video that currently exists. I have basically finished everything I set out to do in the episode this week, so that's good. That's good. Also, I will just preface this with saying, again, I have been quite busy this last week. I've had to do an essay, which I think I'm done with. I really just gotta read it over again, make sure everything's okay. Not entirely sure if I've necessarily done a good job, but it's only worth like 10% of my final grade, so like, even if I don't do too well, I should be fine. I don't know. We'll see. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Think. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What else is going on with my life? So, this week is actually rather tame in terms of actual stuff going on in classes. So, let's see. Okay, let's see. Basically, the physics class I'm taking is basically done. We just got the final stuff we're doing. The professor even decided to cancel class on the second. Wow, perfect number of iron blocks. Let's go. Professor decided to cancel class in the later part of the week because he just didn't have anything left to do with us, I guess. So, that was great. Got out of bed after not having slept too well or whatever. Looked at my email before I left, and there's an email saying, "Oh, hey, yeah, we're not going to do class." And I was like, "Ah, great, I can go back to bed." Let's see, had a quiz in another one of my classes. That's great. Had a what was it now? What did I have? All right, and then let's see, the other class that I have in person was the one with the nut professor, and I think, well, we got, well, I don't know what that class scares me a little bit for the final, honestly. But it's probably gonna be fine. The way, yeah, so we were kind of being shown how to do stuff with creating TCP sockets this week. Well, that was kind of later in the week. But that's what the homework was on, and fun stuff with that. It's while the actual protocol that is used to communicate over the network is completely standard, the actual way that you create a socket for this stuff and communicate through it is completely different on Linux than on Windows. And we were shown the Linux way to do things, which is a pain in the ass, honestly. But okay, we're up to chess next. But honestly, I could kind of deal with the weird way Linux has to do stuff where it's technically, I mean, and this is specifically in C. In C++, I assume there's a much easier way to do stuff. Much more standard way. But like in C, there was what was there? But the way it's implemented on Linux is just like a file descript. It's just like, yeah, it's basically you're reading a file, which I know in Linux basically the way Linux basically works is everything is a file. But it's still really weird that the way you interact with it is it's a file, the same way you like write or read into a message queue, which is just very confusing. But what makes this worse is that, as far as I can tell, there is no way for you to actually be able to tell if you have any data that you can read without blocking. I mean, yes, it can be in most situations. There are a bunch of, benefits and stuff to Linux and stuff. It's not necessarily a bad operating system, with how a lot of it works. It's just a lot of the people in the Linux community can be really annoying and preachy about, oh, our operating system's the best way. You should never use Windows for anything, ever, ever, ever. There's no reason to use Windows apart from basically all video games. The fact that most people who are using a desktop computer use Windows, and it has like a very, very large software library that you can actually run on it. Things going all the way back to Windows XP, but there's no reason why you should ever be using closed source software like Windows, despite the fact that you're you're in school to be for computer science, where you're going to get a job at a company to develop software that is probably going to be sold as closed source. Yeah, there's no reason why anyone should ever be using closed source software. But yeah, I mean, while, you know, implementing it as a file descriptor may have been, you know, like an easier simplification maybe at the time for how you would implement stuff programmatically. Let's see. It becomes a real issue when you want to do something like, I don't know, we want to do something that's less generic, because I mean, if it's sending or receiving data from a file in the process of sending or receiving data from a file, this should be right. Yeah, okay. Oh. Is generally a pretty simplified process, and there's not too much to go there. Obviously, you either send data in or read data out. Pretty simple. But it's when you try to do something a little bit more specific to the protocol you're using, say TCP, that it becomes kind of a challenge. Like, what if I want to know if the person on the other end of the connection has disconnected? Well, that's not the easiest of things to do. Linux can be very useful in a lot of ways. For instance, this server that I'm playing on right now is actually nowadays running on a Linux computer because of like lower overhead and all that sort of stuff. And theoretically, higher uptimes, more reliability, although with the sheer amount of updates that Canonical has been forcing down my throat every time I actually go and look at the server computer, and it always seems like they want me to restart or something like that. It's like, I thought I set up live patch. Why isn't this all just taken care of in the background? Also some stuff where, yeah, on the whole, if you don't touch anything for long periods of time, and you just let whatever's running run, and you don't touch it at all, no updates, no nothing, it is relatively stable and has, minimal issues. But the second a human gets involved and starts to try to want to interact with stuff, you get problems. Because I used to for a while, my preferred remote connection solution didn't work, because I had to do a lot of annoying configuration stuff out of the box, which you shouldn't have had to do. It should have just worked. Anyhow, Linux is a multi-user environment. Too bad your remote desktoping software doesn't work for trying to remotely access your desktop to... There, I have issues with that stuff. Pressure plates. I believe this is currently configured for Bamboo. Anyhow, the remote pains with remote desktoping software aside, the way I was doing it for a while is I was using the Ubuntu's built-in VNC server to actually do communication, which, besides the fact that not having the best compression and network traffic being an issue, it worked okay, although the connection could be very spotty at times. Despite the fact the Minecraft server connection was absolutely fine, going to the exact same IP address. Anyhow, the issue came when the VNC server decided to start crashing, where you'd connect to it, you'd get an image, but you couldn't do anything, and the image would be completely frozen the entire time. Yeah. That wasn't very good. I did not bring any shulker boxes with me. So that was a problem. And that was almost certainly a byproduct of the way Linux is, because generally it's stable, apart from when it's not, because the human's interacting with it. Then there was also the issue of the drive we have on the hard drive we had connected for backups just dying, which was causing weird stability issues while the OS was running, while it was still... Oh, hey, speaking of the backups... so the OS was still running, but it was behaving weirdly. Some stuff was like kind of freezing and taking a long time, so I decided to try restarting the computer, try to clear stuff, and it wouldn't boot. It would just like get errors and refuse to get past them. And so I tried to go into the Ubuntu recovery menu, but that was also having a great deal of issue for no apparent reason. I have weird pictures of it where because it's all terminal stuff, but it tries to be a little bit graphical in the terminal, and so you just had like stuff be like as like the cursor or as like where the cursor was trying to print stuff moved around. You just have like you just have like text being moved across the stream instead of like vertical stuff. It's like it's not properly like refreshing everything. It's like, oh, what the heck is going on? Turns out the reason why I couldn't boot those because it was unable to mount the drive, which is apparently a critical failure that prevents a Linux system from booting. Because logic. You see, on the other hand, Windows has no problem if a drive that's supposed to be mounted isn't functioning properly and doesn't mount. It will still boot up just fine. Maybe you'll get a little error message saying, hey, device failed, or device is failing, but it's just fine. The drive would also, not show up properly in Windows, but in Disk Manager, you could still see the drive. I just feel like I grabbed way too many of this. Yeah. Stop doing so much. Okay. That was fun. Yeah, now we use an SSD. Yeah, graphics drivers are... tend to have a lot of issues on Linux as well, because sometimes I don't necessarily think it's necessarily an issue with people or an issue with the companies not necessarily developing. I mean, with NVIDIA, it certainly is an issue with them not developing game-ready drivers for it. But in AMD, I don't think it's that case. It's just the fact that Linux users... It's okay, but like just like one of the most, or the thing that a lot of AMD or a lot of Linux users, they're like open source. They don't want to have any proprietary drivers on their systems for the very expensive products that they bought, and because of that, they're often left with subpar performance. Now, I would totally believe that NVIDIA just does not at all make good drivers for Linux. That would be totally on brand for them. So I'm not entirely surprised if that's the situation with NVIDIA and stuff. But if there is a good driver that exists, it's just proprietary, and you don't install it, and you still complain that that the product isn't working right or kind of sucks on your system, well, that's kind of your fault at this point for not installing the functional drivers that you could be installing. So, like, stuff, but, let's see, i802 architecture, most popular issues. Not entirely sure what the i802 architecture is. Yeah, I also don't even know what the Intel graphics drivers support on Linux is looking like at the moment. I would hope that because they're like just getting into the market and they want to get as much market share as possible, Intel will be like, yeah, our Linux drivers are fully open source and like anyone can look at them, contribute to them. They're completely cool and stuff. I don't know, they might be, or they're not. No idea. Very plausible that it could be either way. Yeah, I also did have the fun experience the other day in class, or yesterday, I guess, in class, watching the professor who's like real big Linux shell, loves everything Linux, and like, oh, you should always be using Linux and whatnot. Trying to work his way around on the Windows command line, and he was like, oh yeah, this must be what you guys feel like when you're trying to use a Linux terminal. Can't do anything because like the commands are specifically with the Windows command, with the Microsoft command prompt, ever a bit different than they would be on Linux, but obviously a command prompt, I mean, he wasn't using PowerShell. If he'd been using PowerShell, it would be a little bit more familiar to him. Oh yeah, here's a fun thing that I recently learned. So you may know how generally on a command line you can Also, hold on. I need to troubleshoot this farm here. Because it sounds like it didn't go off. Okay, everything looks fine though. Okay. So you might know how generally on a command line you can like redirect the standard input of a program to just read from a file by just like putting the this character in after the command and then the file name that you want to read from. This is the case in Linux shells, the macOS shell, of course the Microsoft command prompt, but not in PowerShell for some reason. PowerShell does support redirecting standard output to a file, but for some reason not standard input from a file, which is just so confusing. Like, you had that in command prompt. How did you get rid of that from PowerShell, which is supposed to be better in every way? There's also the default command line on Windows 11. Yep, okay. I don't know what's going on with Microsoft sometimes. This professor's also really old, so they might not actually completely understand the passage of time anymore, or have a good sense of when things actually was, because he was saying something in class along the lines of, oh, a program written 10 years ago might not work anymore because they're changing stuff. To give you an idea of when 10 years ago was, Windows 10 came out 9 years ago. One, that's a really long time for for a Microsoft operating system to just be going. But also, anything you wrote, a program that was written 10 years ago will still run, even for Windows 8, will still run just fine on Windows 10, because realistically, barring operating system specific functionality that was ever used in the program, a program written for Windows Vista would theoretically still run just fine today in Windows 11, because Microsoft has changed generally the architecture that little throughout the years. And to a greater extent, there is still like the Windows XP compatibility mode, I think, that exists to allow other programs that are even older than that to run, because Microsoft has this extreme dedication to backwards compatibility within their product, so that programs written in 1992 for Windows 3.1 probably do not work in the modern versions of Windows 11. But only because they're a 16-bit application. If you wrote your program correctly, and in 1992, and you had, I guess, a 32-bit version of Windows 10, because those do support 16-bit applications for some reason, you could actually run the program potentially just fine. Buttons. Yes. I'm not going to do buttons. That's a waste of time. Stone pressure plates, though. That I will do. But yeah, the way it's happened is stone. Anyway, yeah, operating system stuff is fun. Well, this will just about do it. But yeah, to be fair, and also, people might complain, oh, but Windows is so much different, so much worse than the way that Linux is. Why don't they just do it like Windows? Why don't they just do it like Linux? It's like, I'm going to ask you a question. Did the way Linux does things exist back when Microsoft started producing DOS for computers? And did that achieve a significant market share in the home computer business, where people were... Oh, wait, what am I doing? Where people actually use products? Because the only reason, theoretically, why Windows is the way it is today is because, realistically, of Windows 95 and how dominant that was over the entire industry, becoming the most popular home computer operating system. And from Microsoft's point of view, they did eventually obviously move everything over to NT, which is their own custom kernel, but a lot of that is still kind of based off how things were working on DOS, because of A, backwards compatibility, super widely used stuff. They might as well, might want to keep backwards compatibility, and also, why change what works? This, Windows, as a reminder, made Microsoft their billions in the early days. I mean, obviously now their money comes from cloud computing, because of course it does. But back in the day, Microsoft's money basically did come from Windows. And considering that Windows made them billions and billions of dollars, there is as any business person would tell you, there is no reason why you should realistically change it to do anything differently if what it's currently doing is realistically working really well. Obviously, in recent years, they've started to do stuff that is a little bit more similar to Windows or Linux, like PowerShell, for instance. Or, well, first of all, Windows subsystem for Linux, first of all. But also PowerShell incorporating a lot of like Linux terminal commands, aliasing them to the Windows versions like ls and dir, both being aliases for get directory contents or something like that. And a lot of that sort of stuff. But yeah, but I mean, there's also really, but also because of Windows' dominant market position. I mean, to be fair, it's not 90% like it was in the 90s. I mean, it's slowly falling because of alternative ways, or people just not using computers altogether. But it is still the most popular OS, so you really shouldn't be. You probably shouldn't snuff your nose at it if you're building consumer-facing applications. Obviously, if you're building a back-end business application, it's going to be running on a server. Yeah, probably assume that's running on Linux, because that's probably correct. Like, I mean, who's running Windows Server unless you're running an application that explicitly requires Windows? I like C++, but I don't know if I should learn Linux and how to use an operating system. Well, in the realm of software development, it isn't necessarily that you need to learn how to use the operating system. It's what you need to do to program for an operating system. And to be fair, you can just Google it all. But specifically when doing stuff related to system calls, there is a significant difference of how you do that generally on Linux compared to Windows. Because on Linux, you can directly call system or operating system functions to do specific things, and they have a very specific way that they're actually, programmed stuff. Versus on Windows, Microsoft doesn't expose the direct operating system functions to the end user because they want to be able to change them at any point without completely breaking any program that's written for Windows. So instead, they expose things through the Windows API. Which often does things a lot differently than a system call would on Linux. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, when they, for some reason, require everything to be named in their stupid variable types like dword32. ldword32. Like, the only thing that's really bad is just, like, the annoying ass, like, data types. There's also a thing with Microsoft's official, Visual C++ compiler, where for some reason, and this really perplexes me, I believe small. The word small is defined as a data type by default in Microsoft's compiler. I think it's defined as an integer, which is kind of annoying if you wanted to name a variable small, because you'll end up getting a compiler error that char int is not valid. What? It doesn't even matter if you're actually using the reason why they did that, but yeah, you don't have any way around it. You just gotta not name them that. Yeah, there's also while it is writing cross-platform code in in like C++ does take a lot more effort than if you were to attempt to do that in potentially some other languages. It is fully possible to make your code mostly cross-platform, and if you do have like various system APIs that you need to be calling to do specific stuff, and you want to make it cross-platform, I'd say create your own functions that are designed to do those operations, obfuscate those in some sort of like header file or something that can then do the handling for switching to the methods that a different operating system would use. Because there is a preprocessor definition on Windows. I believe it's underscore Win32 underscore that you can use to determine. I'll have the compiler determine if you're on a window or if it's being compiled for Windows or not, and you can just use that to switch whatever imports or which actual version of your functions implementation you'd end up using. I know that specifically with the compiler that I generally use on my computer, which is not the Microsoft compiler for C and C++, it is it's a different one that is more towards the GNU standards for C. I do generally have... Oh, what's it called? Oh yeah, it does generally operate a little bit more like the Linux implementation of C is. It does obviously compile for Windows, run on Windows just fine as long as you have the DLL file correctly on your system path for all the stuff. Alright, what's next here? But it does have a few... Okay, levers. Alright. I need another shulker box. Boop. Let's go get more sticks then. What was I talking about with the compiler? Yeah. Yeah, that's generally the one that I believe you use. But yeah, so like, interestingly, that compiler contains a header file which has which does have the correct interface for the way threads are generally implemented in C on Linux in it. So with that compiler, you can take your threading code for C, or threading code that is designed to work on Linux, and use it on Windows just fine, as that it has a header file built in that is the same name, it has the same function definition or function signatures as you'd have on Linux for the threading stuff, but it just wraps the Windows threading API, which isn't too much more complicated. It's basically the same stuff, just different function names and stuff like that. But the thing is, they don't do that everywhere for things you could use. Like, a good example of where they don't have their own version of libraries to wrap what the Windows API does is in TCP sockets, where the Linux version of that, which admittedly is a lot more complex because the way it's implemented on Linux is you're technically reading and writing to files. On Windows, it's probably more just direct interaction with hardware devices, although I'm not entirely sure. They still don't wrap the Linux way in the Windows way, which can be a little bit annoying. Then another annoying thing, specifically for the class that I'm taking, is process forking, which is apparently quite important on Linux, because that's like before we had multi-thread, multi-core CPUs. The way that they would, for some reason, do multitasking on Unix-based operating systems is just by creating a new process for everything that needs to do stuff instead of using threads. And Windows, being a primarily thread-based operating system, does not have the fork command, in C at least. You can make multiple processes that, communicate with each other on Windows, obviously. That is a thing. You'll see Chrome doing that a lot, for instance. But by default, fork just isn't a thing on Windows, and I don't know necessarily what the correct implementation of that would be. So anytime I've had homeworks where I've had to do stuff with forking, I've had to, write the stuff within my IDE or whatever, and then just have a bunch of errors everywhere for anything that is involved in the forking process, because that obviously does not work on my operating system. Instead of having to go into Windows Subsystem for Linux to do stuff, and oh god, it's annoying. Bum bum bum. Yeah, also weird interesting quirk that I have found on what's it? Found in the C++ compilers, between the way that Microsoft does it and the way that at least the G++ compiler that I have does it, or does stuff, is that the G++ compiler that I have is able to allocate an array on the stack for a given size at runtime instead of having to statically determine that information at compile time, which is a very useful common sense feature that I think should just generally be in the C standard. And I just kind of assumed it was in the C++ standard because, you know, it worked in this stuff. But Microsoft's compiler does not implement that, which is annoying when I went to compile a program with Microsoft's compiler that uses that, and it's like, this is not a valid expression that can be determined at compile time. What? There's probably a way to do it with something more like the array class in C++, but it's still like, oh, come on. A bunch of that stuff is completely unnecessary, in my opinion, to have to actually deal with in modern life. Well, something else that just kind of bugs me about C++ in general is that anytime you see like reference documentation for like libraries or functions or whatever, the way they show the function definition just makes it very confusing to actually know what parameters does this take. Because instead of just listing like the name of each parameter or each parameter type, the simple type of each parameter, like, and then what name it's given, and that includes for return values, they specify the specific namespace it's in. So you'll see, and all these other weird wrappers that it's in. So you see like std : brackets inet stream brackets input stream or some crap like that. And it's just like, what does this mean? What does this want? You could just say input stream or stuff. You don't have to necessarily specify that it's in a specific you don't have to necessarily specify that it's within a specific namespace. I mean, like, specifically, if it's a website, you could just click on the actual argument type and it could take you to the page showing, oh, this is in the standard namespace or whatever. Other languages doing stuff like Java, when you see documentation for that, that doesn't describe the package of every object or of every class that you have to pass in for a parameter. It just straight up doesn't. So, I don't know. I don't see why C++ should be significantly confusing to document like that. Ooh, target blocks. That's an interesting one. More shulker boxes. I will actually go get the hay for this. So that is over this way. I don't know if I actually have a crafting table within the area over here. Oh, I do. Cool. 2 crafting tables, in fact. Let's go. Oh. Ow. That's a loud car going by. Real loud. You know, people here can be quite weird at times for what they do in the parking lot. Like, they'll go, like, at 3 a.m., they'll go turn their car on with the lights blasting right onto the building, right into my window, and they'll just sit there for, like, 20 minutes, not doing anything. Or at 1 a.m., they'll be in their car blasting their bass-boosted music. Do you guys not have school work to do tomorrow where you need to sleep? Like, what is going on? This is madness. How can you live like this? I certainly couldn't. That's why I'm trying to sleep at the time that you're doing these ridiculous things. Has the whole world gone mad? Let me stack and a few. 1 stack and 7. There we go. There's our whole shulker box of hay bales. And away we go. Having a lot of items in storage is useful at times. Alright. Next thing we need is 4 shulker boxes worth of redstone dust. Why did I only put the crafting tables in the corner in this room? We do not have that much redstone. We'll use what we got here. And then when we run out, we'll go over to the witch farm and grab more redstone. So that's what we do. Haha. I have a lot of resources sometimes, apart from quartz, which I apparently do not have all that much of. Oh yeah, also I can talk about this a little bit. So this week I was occasionally attempting to AFK at the gold farm so we could, you know, do the bartering for more quartz. Duh, that's what I'm talking about. And I for some reason stuff always keeps going wrong. Like I keep getting knocked back, like away from where I'm like slashing at the piglins, so I end up losing my ability to hit them, and therefore unable to. Well, I cannot speak right now apparently, and therefore I end up completely unable to actually get enough gold to sustain the bartering, which means I don't get nearly as much quartz as I could be getting from the farm, which is very annoying. Very, very annoying. Keep those 9 blocks there. So I don't know. I need to look into making that farm a bit better. Last season's gold farm, much better at this sort of a thing than the current design that I am using, which I made a couple seasons back. Alright, time to go get more redstone. 3rd time so far that we're going to be visiting the witch farm today. That's fun. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back. And we're off. Back into the nether. Once again. Oh, I remember what I was thinking I should be ranting about today on stream. And this time I actually mean it. So, I wanted to rant about how live streaming on YouTube is objectively better than Twitch. Which is really saying something, because Twitch's whole point is live streaming, and YouTube just single-handedly, as kind of like the small side thing, does it better. So, you know, allow me to explain. So this week I was watching on Thursday, I think. I was watching... Oh, put me in the right place. I was watching a live stream of some YouTubers playing, I think it's Content Warning is the name of the game. It's the game that was released like on April Fool's, where you, basically, you go into a real scary place with you and your friends, and you try to film some scary stuff and get views on SpookTube or whatever. And it's you know, it's an interesting game, entertaining to watch people play for the most part. So I was watching people play it, but I had to, you know, they were live streaming on Twitch, and I had to specifically, you know, be traveling across campus to go get food during the time of which the stream was happening. Which, for something that's kind of time sensitive to watch as that game is, it was just an awful experience, because the cell service around campus isn't the greatest. So I had to deal with the going in and out of Wi-Fi, bad cell service. I was going around, so naturally, you know, you get the stream gets, you know, cutting out here and there, which isn't too unusual. But it does it a lot more than YouTube does it. Even for a live stream on YouTube, it cuts out a lot more than YouTube does. Add to that, Twitch is just horrible at switching quality options to you. Like, if you have auto, yeah, I can audibly. It also turns down audio quality. Interestingly, it changes the quality of your stuff if you have low signal. But it sometimes is not capable of doing that enough in order to actually deliver you a more consistent feed. Which is really annoying when you add on top of that if I went into settings to manually select a lower quality, it will just stop loading altogether. Where YouTube would have immediately adjusted and started sending me the correct lower quality video, Twitch just sits around on its ass waiting for something to happen. So instead, I end up having to close the stream, then immediately reopen it, where it'll now try to actually deliver to me with the correct settings. But oh, what's this? An ad, because you closed and reopened the stream. Why? Because, I don't know, fuck you. And oh yeah, these are long ads, and they're not skippable, and there's more than one of them. But what's even worse than that is the other advertising they do. Because obviously, you have your mid-roll stream ads, which are altogether a bad idea to ever do on a live stream willingly. But the way Twitch does them is specifically bad, because you can do them on YouTube too. A few people actually do, but you can, in fact, do them. On YouTube, there's the normal YouTube ads. There's at most 2 of them, and you can skip them if they're longer than like 30 seconds or something like that. Twitch doesn't have anything like that. But what's worse is that they have other types of ads, like sidebar ads that come in from the side and try to advertise to you. And the Twitch app will look at the data from the Amazon app on your device if you have it installed, and pull data from that to try to advertise you to stuff on Amazon. Because these aren't just normal ads. These are ads for products on Amazon, because obviously Twitch is owned by Amazon. Oh, it's just bad it's bad on basically all fronts. The video delivery is bad. The advertising situation is just flat bad. I don't understand why. And so some of the people who stream on Twitch will be like, oh, but also, add to that, Twitch does not have a discovery algorithm of any kind that could benefit a smaller creator, like me, say, in any way. Because obviously, if you're watching the stream now, you probably found it through YouTube's discovery, the YouTube algorithm deciding to recommend my stream to you. Twitch doesn't have anything like that. So unless you're somehow getting an obvious audience from another platform, small creators basically have no shot on actually on Twitch to get stuff or to get actual viewers. Obviously, if you're a larger creator, you'll actually appear at the top of the various lists on the homepage, and so people might just be able to click into you from that. But if you're not a large creator, there's no discovery algorithm. You will not get noticed on Twitch. But the big streamers say, oh, but chat moves slower. I can actually read chat. Okay, so you're willing to make the stream an actively worse experience for your audience because you can read chat a little bit easier because it stops every so often. To me, that wouldn't even be helpful. That would just be kind of annoying. Because chat will be here for 1 minute and I'm not getting necessarily the most up-to-date chat messages. You know, I'll read, and then as I'm reading something, it'll just jump up 10 messages as the next batch comes in. Instead of just like every message coming in, and to be fair, if chat's going fast, reading it might not be the most possible thing in the world. But there's probably like third-party applications you can get to slow down your chat if you really want that. But no one's willing to actually look into that stuff. Alright. What's next? Comparator, where I actually need all the quartz time. Speaking of which, I do actually think we should go get the quartz then. You will also need to get a lot more sticks, so back to the witch farm it's gonna be for all the redstone torches. We'll do this in batches though, we'll do this in batches. Let's see, how long have I been live for? 1 hour and 23 minutes. Decent bit of time there. Alright. Oh, man. Okay, that was weird. In I go into here. Grab a bunch of quartz. When it comes time to do daylight detectors, I did go around once again. I did go around and grab a bunch of quartz out of the nether today. Just for the stream, because I knew that was probably going to be an issue that I wanted to solve before the stream. So you're welcome for that. Jeez, that was a sound. Back to the base with these portals. Oh boy. And I have noticed recently that my hair is getting quite long. Oh, hello, there we go. Yes, I've recently noticed my hair is getting quite long. And it's starting to get quite noticeable, and to an extent I'm starting to notice it. Oh yeah, I gotta go through this farm at some point and put light sources that actually allow the bamboo to grow up. And I think they need a slit level 7 or above to grow, which is very annoying. Like they could get that from daylight, but I didn't realize that, so they don't have that. Alright. Alright, now we need 3 shulker boxes. 6. A lot of shulker boxes of a lot of shulker boxes for sticks, which we will then turn into redstone torches. In fact, I'll just do the entire process at the witch farm. Actually, before I do that, I will drop these 2 shulker boxes of quartz off at the stone factory where we're actually going to be doing the crafting, because that's obviously where the stone is. The limitless supply of stone, effectively. Literally regenerates faster than it can be used in most situations. There you go. Oh yeah, also, JD Cole built this building over the week, I believe. Very interesting design there. Why did the audio just cut out for a while there? It's kind of annoying. Anyhow, back down the ice path. Weird sounds outside, okay. That felt weird. So, what else can I talk about today on the live stream? Let's see. Let's see. Big hole this is, yes. I can't believe that I have not actually done anything about the World Eater being here. I apparently just completely left it there and didn't bother doing any sort of removal effort. Did I? I feel like I've removed it in the past. Season 3, I remember I just kind of blew at least part of it up. Season 4, obviously, I entirely removed it as I built my base in that hole. Did I remove it in Season 5 or leave it there the entire season? I may have reclaimed some components of it. And it's becoming nighttime. That's great. I'm gonna turn the sound way down so I don't have to realistically listen to that ticking sound repeatedly for the rest of the stream here. More of that. So, oh yeah, I have something else that I could talk about here on stream. Is so there's the so there are rumors going around that for the 25th anniversary, 25th, not that long yet, 15-year anniversary of Minecraft's release, there is going to be Mojang is going to be releasing a new cape to everyone. So woo, new capes, woo. And people are quite some people are quite up in arms about it because it ruins the quote cape economy. What? I have no idea what you're talking about there. Yeah, some people are kind of up in arms because it's going to ruin the quote cape economy, which is not supposed to be a thing in the game. Like, I'm pretty sure what they're saying is, well, capes are rare because in the past you basically could only get them by going to Minecon or other specific events. And yes, that's true, but like, the only way you could get a cape in that situation, or get the capes for the cape economy, is to buy a Minecraft account from somebody else, and that violates the EULA. And you could and the accounts that you buy could actually become banned, and several do become banned because of that. So I don't have a problem with that, because also people get their accounts stolen over the fact that they have capes that people want for some reason. And so obviously a large chunk of players nowadays have at least one cape, if not two. Like, obviously if your account is older than Microsoft's acquisition of the game, or Microsoft's acquisition of the game plus a few years after, I believe. Actually, quite a few years after, I want to say. Which my account definitely is. By how much, I don't actually know how much older my account is, but my account is definitely older than the acquisition. You currently have at least two capes. The first, obviously, one would be the legacy account capes, which obviously is if you bought your account before the whole if you were able to migrate your account from Mojang to Microsoft, then you got that cape. That one's basically most accounts would have that one. Even like really new one, or even new-ish ones have that. Newish, still like 5 years now. Still like you still have to have like a 5-year-old account for that nowadays. Jeez. But yeah, new-ish accounts do kind of have that. The other one is the Vanilla Cape, I think is what it's technically called. Basically, it's what you get for owning both Minecraft Bedrock Edition for Windows and Minecraft Java Edition. Which, the reason why I say that one's like, oh, you have to have an account from before Microsoft bought the game, is because when Minecraft Windows 10 Edition, which is what it was originally called on Windows, which is kind of a surprise that it was just Pocket Edition for Windows, when that version first came out, I don't know why. I actually don't know why Mojang did this, but if you owned Minecraft Java Edition, you got a free copy of it, which is how I got it. You literally could just go to Mojang.com and receive your product key, type that into the Microsoft Store or whatever, and bam, you got the Minecraft for Windows, or Minecraft Windows 10 Edition for free. But if you also bought the game, but I guess also if you bought Minecraft Windows 10 Edition later from from Microsoft Store, I guess you could also have gotten the cape. That way. But yeah, I guess that's a kind of a Minecraft history fact for you. If you owned Minecraft Java Edition before the Microsoft acquisition of the game, or even realistically after, so before Minecraft Windows 10 Edition came out, also actually for a while afterwards, you could actually get you could have actually gotten that cape for absolutely free just by having your account. In fact, actually, I don't know when the cutoff for that is, because I know obviously I have my copy of Minecraft Windows 10 Edition from this account that I'm playing on right now, but I don't remember if I was ever able to redeem one for my alt account, which, how many years into me having this account did I get that one? I know Minecraft 1.13 was the current version of the game at the time, because, well, it was Season 1 when I got the account, and that was before 1.14 came out. But I think this account I acquired, bought this account in 1.7.10, I believe. I don't know how long is between those two. I think it's roughly 5 years, though. So sometime within that 5-year period, I think it may have been ended. So if any time I'll just say for now, if you got any time before my alt account was purchased, you probably were able to get that second cape for free, as well as, of course, the first cape. I quite frankly do not care about and therefore do not use. Alright, we're getting down there, guys. We got only a little bit more torch crafting to go, and then we have to do this all again for repeaters. That's going to be fun. But yeah, I mean, also with those, I guess for the Minecon capes, the way that those obviously worked is if you attended Minecon, when you gave them your username or whatever, you got to, they put a cape on your account. And mind you, that was back when I think the console editions existed, but Java Edition was the main version at the time, so obviously you would give your Minecraft Java Edition username. But yeah, then but there was obviously also only a limited number of people were able to actually attend, and then they stopped doing in-person Minecons and started doing well, they first did Minecraft Earth, which was really weird. I think it was a weird live streaming situation, which is very similar to the Minecon Live they do nowadays, but it was like they streamed it in movie theaters for some reason. I don't know. I just remember that on the day that happened, I happened to be on a trip to New York City to see the Rockettes at Radio City Music Hall. I don't know why I specifically remember that that was the day that happened, but I just kind of do. And then ever since, we've had just the virtual Minecon. So obviously, the Minecon capes kind of ended there. And at one point, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna bring back the in-person Minecon stuff for, you know, maybe a couple smaller events around the year," and then they just never did that because of the pandemic or whatever. And they're like, "Ah, it's just too logistically complex now. There's too many people, and it just wouldn't be fair," or some shit like that. They've also done a lot of other weird and scummy stuff in relation to the Minecraft Live stuff. Like, I remember they didn't do this last year, which is good, because it was stupid when they did it before. Where they have, like, community members asking questions to them, but it was so obvious that these video questions they had were pre-recorded from, like, large creators or something that they showed, pre-recorded from before the show, and I'm pretty sure they were just completely scripted for what the they weren't even given like advanced knowledge of the features. They were just pre-scripted to be like, okay, just record a video of you asking this question and it'll be part of Minecraft Live, which makes quite literally no sense, because there's a chance that literally or basically no one was asking any of these questions. Because instead of it just being like the creators would, like, during the show as they were watching it, quickly pause the show to record these questions and send it in, and then they'd pick one. This stuff was all oh hey, we're done. All pre-scripted, very disingenuous. It's the WAN show notification. Okay, I'll just kind of finish this up, and I am glad for one that they have eventually stopped just doing that altogether, and realized that people don't like all the weird, stupid fluff that they stuff into Minecraft Live. Anyhow, with that being said, the WAN show is now live, which means after 1 hour and 40 minutes, it is now the end of the live stream. So, I want to say thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like on the stream on your way out. And also check out my game, which is linked in the description, and I will see you all in the next thing.